Let me tell you how it started. Not with some dramatic slap across the face or a teary confession. No, it started with laundry. Yes, laundry. I was folding clothes one evening, minding my own peace, appreciating the therapeutic rhythm of it. Sock, shirt, shirt, sock. When I pulled out a lacy red thong that didn't belong to either of us. Now I know what you're thinking. Surely it could have been a mistake. A mix-up from the dryer. A rogue fabric from someone else's load. And I wanted to believe that too. I really did. But here's the thing. My wife, Lauren, she didn't wear red. She wore beige. Functional. Practical. The kind of underwear that screamed efficiency louder than it did intimacy. And the lace? That thing had ambition. It looked like it had plans. Dinner at 8, betrayal by 10. So I stood there, thong in hand, the washing machine still humming behind me like a witness too polite to say anything, and thought, is this how it begins? When she got home an hour later, I didn't confront her. I didn't throw it in her face. Instead, I asked, "Hey, did you get something new?" She blinked at the question, shrugged, and said, "What, like food?" "No," I said, holding up the red lace like a detective unveiling evidence. This. The second it left my fingers, her face changed. Not panic, not even guilt, just annoyance, like I'd interrupted her podcast or something. She gave a short laugh. "Oh, that's not mine. Probably got stuck in our dryer from next door. You know I don't wear stuff like that." And technically, she was right. She didn't. But there was something about how smoothly she said it. Like she'd rehearsed it. Like she knew I was going to ask. That's when I knew I was married to a professional. Not in the job sense. She was a marketing director. But in the damage control sense. This woman could sell frostbite to Florida. Still, I didn't push. Why? Because the best traps don't use force. They use patience. That night, she kissed me on the cheek and went to bed early. Said she had a client call in the morning. And I just smiled, nodded, and tucked the thong into an envelope marked Monday. I didn't know where this story was going yet, but I had a feeling it wasn't going to end with beige. Now, I wasn't about to start playing FBI. I didn't grow up dreaming of tracking my wife like a parole officer with trust issues. But I also wasn't about to sit in a beige marriage while she painted the town red, lace and all. So I did what any level-headed man would do after holding another man's laundry in his hands. I got creative. Lauren had recently picked up a new hobby, fitness. Not your typical New Year, New Me resolution. This was more performative. She'd never cared about cardio in the 12 years we'd been together. Her idea of exercise used to be yelling at the bachelor contestants from the couch while sipping wine. But now, suddenly, it was sunrise spin classes, late-night yoga, and mysterious protein shakes showing up in our Amazon history. Suspicious, right? But here's the kicker. She never came back sweaty. Not once. That woman would walk in after an alleged 90-minute boot camp with makeup untouched, hair styled, and the faint scent of cologne that definitely wasn't hers or mine. So I did it. I slipped a GPS tile into the lining of her gym bag. You can judge me if you want. That's fine. But I was done asking questions. I wanted data. Tuesday morning, 6:03 a.m., the app pinged. She wasn't at PowerCore Fitness. She was at the Monarch Inn, off Route 17. A nice place. Fancy. The kind of hotel that offers cucumber water in the lobby and charges $400 a night for rustic charm. I stared at the screen, blinking like the location might change if I just waited long enough. But nope. My wife was parked at a hotel before sunrise. Not once. Not a one-off. 4 times in 2 weeks. And that's when Caleb entered the chat. See, I did what any self-respecting man does when he's trying not to explode. I went to the gym. Her actual gym. And I asked a few casual questions while pretending to browse membership options. And that's when the receptionist, bless her oversharing heart, said, "Oh, you must be Lauren's husband. She's always here with Caleb. That couple's workout energy? Adorable." "Caleb," I repeated, trying not to let the word curdle in my mouth. "Yeah, he trains her twice a week. Real chemistry between those two. You know, fitness chemistry." She winked. "Fitness chemistry. That's what we're calling it now?" I nodded, thanked her, and walked out. I didn't need to see Caleb to know what he looked like. I could feel it. You ever get that sixth sense? The primal male instinct that tells you exactly what kind of guy your wife would cheat on you with? Caleb probably had a symmetrical beard, abs that looked photoshopped in real life, and a backstory that included heartbreak, absinthe, and a CrossFit certification. Probably said things like core activation and your body is a temple. But here's the thing, I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because while she thought she was playing chess, I was over here studying her openings, planning my endgame. I kept the GPS tracker live. I started copying her text logs through our shared iCloud account. And most importantly, I started working out. You see, Lauren had her little secrets. But so did I. And I wasn't going to explode. I was going to evolve. Let me set the scene. It's a Friday afternoon. I'm sitting at my desk pretending to answer emails. But really, I'm watching a little blue dot on my phone. Lauren's gym bag is pinging again. And surprise, surprise, it's not anywhere near a squat rack. This time, she's at a place called Elon, a French restaurant so upscale it doesn't even list prices on the menu, just adjectives. Things like decadent, infused, and my personal favorite, whispered over imported oak. I call the place. I say I'm confirming a reservation for Lauren, table for two. The hostess replies with cheerful efficiency. Yes, Lauren Hayes. Table for two at 6:30. Indoor seating. Romantic table, per request. Romantic table. That felt like someone had sucker punched me with a baguette. Now, I wasn't mad that she was cheating. I was mad that she thought I couldn't count. You eat scallops with someone in soft lighting. You don't call that networking. So what do? I make another reservation. Same night. Same restaurant. 1 hour earlier. Table for one. Window seat. And I bring a prop. A small bouquet of white roses. Not because I'm sentimental, but because I knew they were her least favorite. She once called them funeral flowers. And somehow, that felt poetic. At 6:30 on the dot, they arrive. Lauren walks in wearing that red silk blouse she saves for important meetings. Hair curled. Heels high enough to mean business, but low enough for dancing. And beside her, Caleb. He's even worse than I imagined. Man bun. Turtleneck. A coat with no visible wrinkles, which, honestly, offended me. They sit. Laugh. Toast. I don't move. I don't stare. I just sip my overpriced coffee and let the roses wilt gently beside my plate. 10 minutes in, the waiter approaches them with a bottle of wine. I watch Caleb wave him off. No, she'll have the rose, he says. She always has the rose. Interesting. Always. I didn't even know she drank rose. With me, she always ordered Merlot and complained it gave her headaches of the soul. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just cheating. She was rebranding. She had a new version of herself she saved just for him. New favorite wine. New laugh. New wardrobe. I was watching a woman cosplay her own life. Now I could have marched over. Could have tossed the roses on their table and delivered a monologue worthy of a courtroom drama. But I didn't. Because I noticed something else. Caleb's phone buzzed. He checked it. Smiled. Tucked it away. Lauren didn't notice. But I did. He wasn't present. He was playing the part. And suddenly, I saw the ending she hadn't planned for. Because Lauren? She wasn't just being unfaithful. She was being played. And I was going to let her finish her little dinner, her little dream. Then I'd start writing mine.so. How do you tell your wife you know she's cheating without actually saying it? Easy. You let the walls talk for you. It started with a Bluetooth speaker and a Sunday morning playlist. Lauren had booked a solo spa weekend upstate, a little retreat to reconnect with herself. She said she needed space. I said nothing, just nodded like the supportive, boring husband she believed I still was. But while she was off reconnecting with her chakras, or more likely, with Caleb, I stayed home and reprogrammed the house. See, what Lauren didn't know is that our smart home setup, the one she ignored like a decorative plant, synced perfectly with her phone. Same Spotify account. Same Bluetooth permissions. Same blind spot. At 6:02 p.m. that Sunday, exactly 1 hour before she was due back, I cued the playlist. Nothing dramatic. No angry breakup ballads or screeching violins. No, I wanted subtlety. Something that would crawl under her skin like a whisper in the dark. The music began just as she stepped through the door, tired, zen, cucumber-scented. The first song? Wicked Game by Chris Isaak. The slow, haunting guitar. The lyrics, what a wicked thing to do, to make me dream of you. Classic. Moody. Just enough to raise one eyebrow. Alexa, stop, she said, a little too quickly, dropping her weekend bag by the stairs. The music paused. I waited. 5 minutes later, as she unpacked in the bedroom, it started again, this time from the upstairs speaker. Somebody that I used to know. By the time it hit the chorus, she was muttering to herself. Why is this playing? I sat downstairs, pretending to read, sipping coffee that had long gone cold. She stomped down the stairs, holding her phone like it had personally betrayed her. Did you touch the speaker settings? I looked up, calm. Nope. Maybe a glitch. Huh. She frowned, but didn't press. Just went to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of wine. Rose, of course. Song number 3, The Night We Met by Lord Huron. That one hit harder. I could tell by how her grip tightened around the stem of the glass. Her eyes twitched. I could almost hear her brain trying to make excuses. Spotify glitch. Random shuffle. Mercury in retrograde. I let her believe all of it. Because this wasn't about a confrontation. Not yet. This was erosion. The slow drip of doubt. The kind of unraveling that feels self-inflicted. Because when someone thinks they're still in control, watching them lose it, piece by piece, is an art form. Monday morning, I kept the pressure on, quietly. She wanted to take a shower. I synced the speaker in the bathroom to play Say Something. I'm giving up on you, at half volume. Just enough for her to think she was imagining it. The kind of volume that makes you pause with shampoo in your hair and ask yourself if you're going insane. Then silence. She came down 30 minutes later in a robe, wet hair, pale face. Is this a game? She asked. I blinked. What? The music? You're trying to make a point. I tilted my head. Lauren, if I had a point to make, I'd make it. She didn't reply. She just stared at me like she was looking for proof. The problem was, I hadn't changed anything. No yelling, no sarcasm, no icy glares. I was still folding the laundry, still making her coffee, still doing all the things that made me invisible to her in the first place. But now, she felt seen. And nothing messes with a guilty person more than being treated normally when they know they deserve chaos. That week, I planted more seeds. A sticky note on the fridge that read, "Truth will out." She saw it, didn't say a word. I left my phone open one night with a text thread labeled Caleb. Nothing in it. Just the name. Just the idea. Her eyes darted to it, and I swear I saw her pupils shrink. At dinner, I served her favorite meal and set her place with a red cloth napkin. Mine was white. She noticed. Her fork paused mid-bite. Red napkin. Felt right, I said, chewing. A little flair. She didn't eat much after that. Then Friday came, and with it, my final touch. She had a Zoom call scheduled that afternoon with a client. I knew that voice. I'd heard it once when I walked past her office, and she quickly clicked mute. It was Caleb. I didn't need to hack her laptop or snoop. I just sat in the hallway outside her home office with my earbuds in and my recorder app running. The conversation was casual, flirty, harmless enough to be deniable, but packed with the kind of coded familiarity that only comes from rehearsed betrayal. She called him C. He called her Lolo. He asked if I was still playing the doting husband. She laughed. He's clueless. Clueless. Interesting choice of word for someone who rigged the house to gaslight you with musical poetry. When she left the room, I walked in, copied the recording to a drive, and slid it into a plain white envelope marked for when I stopped being clueless. I placed it in my desk drawer and went on with my day. Now here's the twist. I didn't want revenge. Not yet. I wanted evidence. I wanted her to write the ending herself, to crumble under the pressure of knowing I knew, but never being sure when I'd act. You see, Lauren always liked control. She liked predictability, structure, a world where she made the rules and everyone else followed her tempo. But now the soundtrack belonged to me, and it was only getting started. There's something about anniversaries. They hold power. Even the worst marriages pretend for a day. They smile through the fake toasts and lukewarm steak dinners. They post photos with hashtags like #blessed while sitting across from someone they wouldn't follow to the mailbox. Our anniversary was on a Saturday, 12 years married. And while Lauren probably expected a gift-wrapped envelope labeled, "Let's just be friends," I had something else in mind. A trip, not a real one, mind you, a staged one, meticulously orchestrated down to the hotel shampoo. Here's how it started. I booked a cabin in the mountains. Cozy, private, no cell service. The kind of place you take someone when you want to reconnect or disappear. I told Lauren 2 weeks prior. I've planned a surprise getaway, I said, handing her a card with the address and nothing else. She blinked. Suspicious. Really? Yeah, I replied. You seemed stressed. Figured we could use the time. She hesitated. Calculated. Then she smiled. That sounds nice. That smile? It wasn't joy. It was strategy. See, What Lauren didn't know was that the cabin, it was booked under a fake name. The reservation? Canceled the same day I made it. But the email confirming it? Still sitting unread in her inbox. I made sure of it. Because I wanted her to think we were going. And I wanted her to cancel. Sure enough, 3 days before departure, she sat me down at the kitchen island, head tilted like a sympathetic HR rep. Babe, I've got a work emergency that weekend. A beat. I raised my eyebrows. Really? Yeah. The Harrison campaign. They moved up the pitch presentation. I'll have to go into the city. Another beat. I let the silence stretch, let it sit just long enough to make her wonder if I believed her. Then I smiled. No worries. Work's work. She exhaled. Relief. Guilt? Not even a flicker. So I waited. Saturday morning, I packed a suitcase, left it in the trunk, kissed her on the cheek, and said, "See you Monday." She waved from the doorway, still in her robe, holding a mug I bought her 4 anniversaries ago. Be safe. Text when you get there. Oh, I would. Just not from the cabin. I drove 5 minutes down the road to a friend's apartment. Mike, old college buddy, owed me one. He left me a key and a stocked fridge. I settled in, logged on to our shared cell phone account, and started watching. Because Lauren? She didn't go into the city. Nope. She stayed local. Which makes sense when you're planning a romantic weekend with someone else. At 1:13 p.m., her location pinged at a boutique hotel downtown. The Griffin. Trendy, discreet, and filled with overpriced art made of broken glass and rusted metal. I smiled. Then, right on cue, she texted me. How's the drive? Hope the rain clears up before you get there. Miss you already, 2 hearts. Rain? Clear blue skies where she was. But I played along. Still on the road. Signals weak. Love you. Let her think I was deep in the woods, building fires and journaling my feelings. I spent the next hour syncing my laptop to the hidden cameras. See, earlier that week, I dropped by the Griffin pretending to be a wedding photographer scouting locations. They let me tour the rooms. Room 408, in particular. Big windows. Great lighting. I installed 2 discrete micro cameras, one in a decorative lamp, another behind a mirror frame. Both synced to a private stream. And now? Now I watched my wife walk into room 408 wearing heels she hadn't worn in years and a smile I hadn't seen since year 3 of our marriage. She brought champagne. Then, 15 minutes later, Caleb arrived. They hugged like characters at the end of a rom-com. Kissed. Laughed. Tossed their bags carelessly like 2 people who hadn't just betrayed someone who paid their car insurance. I muted the audio. I didn't need to hear it. I'd already heard enough in the Zoom call. Instead, I waited. They opened the champagne. Sat on the bed. Toasted. That's when I sent the message. From an anonymous number, I texted Lauren. Room 408 looks cozy. Shame it's not the mountains. I watched it hit her phone in real time. Watched her freeze. She read it. Read it again. Her body stiffened. Her eyes darted to the mirror. The camera. She stood. Caleb noticed. Asked something. She shook her head. Tried to laugh it off. Then the second message came. Say hi to Caleb for me. And tell him I like the shirt. Looks better on me, though. Caleb grabbed his phone next. Started pacing. Whispering. I let them spiral for 5 minutes. Then I sent the final message. Don't worry. No cops. No confrontation. Just consequences. And hey, happy anniversary. That's when I shut off the feed. Not out of rage. Not out of sadness. Out of completion. Because this wasn't about catching her. It wasn't about proving a point. It was about control. She had cheated in secret. Lied in silence. Built a life behind my back and expected me to keep watering the front yard. But now, I had flipped the script. And Lauren finally understood that the man she thought was boring, predictable, routine, he was quiet for a reason. Not because he was blind. Because he was building. After the hotel incident, Lauren didn't come home Sunday night. Not that I was waiting. I spent the evening sipping scotch, watching an old war documentary, and cleaning out the junk drawer. The drawer every couple has, filled with expired coupons, dead pens, and, in our case, secrets. I found one of her old birthday cards in there. The kind that said things like forever isn't long enough. I tossed it in the trash with the expired batteries. By Monday morning, she still hadn't called. That told me everything I needed to know. She was scrambling. Now, here's where the story takes a turn. You remember Caleb? Of course you do. Shirt too tight. Gym-flavored Caleb. Well, I did some digging. Not with a private investigator. No need. Just a little social media finesse, a LinkedIn tab, and the quiet patience of a man who folds his socks and takes screenshots. Turns out, Caleb had a fiancée. Yes, fiancée, with the little accent and everything. Her name was Vanessa, dental hygienist, likes hiking, crafting, and posting filtered selfies with captions like, "He's my forever smile ring." Poor woman was out here planning her wedding while her future husband was tangled up in hotel sheets with my wife. Now I'm not a cruel man. Not by default. But justice? Justice is different. So I mailed Vanessa a letter. Not an anonymous tip. Not a dramatic expose. A plain, manila envelope with a handwritten note and a few choice stills from room 408. Nothing explicit. Just enough for her to see Lauren's face and Caleb's shirt on the floor. Inside the envelope. Vanessa, you don't know me, but I know who you think you're marrying. This isn't an act of vengeance. This is a kindness, delivered the way I wish someone had done for me. Room 408. Saturday night. If you want to talk, there's a coffee shop on Main and 5th, Wednesday, 10 a.m. I'll be there. If you don't show, I'll assume you're already packing. I didn't expect her to come, but she did. She showed up 5 minutes early, wearing sunglasses and heartbreak. She walked to my table, sat down, didn't order anything. Just stared at me like I was holding the detonator to her future. "You wrote the letter?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. I nodded. Yeah. She didn't speak for a while, just stared at her hands. Then she pulled out her phone, opened an app, and showed me Caleb's shared calendar. He told me he was in Boston for work. Had a meeting with a brand sponsor. Room 408, I said gently. Her hands shook. We've been engaged 8 months. I didn't know what to say to that. There's no handbook for these meetings. Just two strangers sifting through the rubble of the same collapse. Finally, I asked, what are you going to do? She didn't blink. Burn the dress. Respect. Before she left, she turned to me and said, "You're a lot calmer than I expected." I had time to rehearse, I said. That same week, I made another quiet move. I updated my will. You see, Lauren was still listed as sole beneficiary. Standard marriage stuff. But I'd spoken to a lawyer the month before. Let's call him Alan, because that was his name, and asked a simple question. What happens if I die before the divorce goes through? His answer? She gets everything. Unacceptable. So I rewrote it. Left the house to my sister. The car to my cousin. My stocks to a local literacy foundation Lauren hated because it always sent ugly tote bags. As for Lauren, she got a parting gift, a sealed letter that read, "If you're reading this, congratulations. You finally outlived your convenience." Petty? Maybe. But dignity wears many suits, and that day, mine was tailored in steel. Meanwhile, Lauren finally returned. She walked through the door 3 days after her little spa-turned-scandal weekend. Eyes hollow, hair in a messy bun she only wore when things fell apart. "Hey," she said like nothing happened. I didn't reply. She hovered in the doorway, waiting for a cue that never came. Finally, she said, "Can we talk?" "Sure," I said. "Go ahead." She blinked. "Didn't expect that." "I know you know," she began, trying to soften her voice. I need you to hear my side." "Lauren," I said calmly, "the only side I care about is the one that wasn't in room 408. She flinched. "I made a mistake," she tried again. "No," I corrected. "You made a pattern. Don't sell me clearance rack remorse." She moved to sit. I didn't offer the seat. "You planned the trip knowing you'd cancel. You knew I'd be gone. You knew Caleb would be available. You wanted privacy, not apologies. You just ran out of time before I found out." She went silent. That's when I stood and handed her an envelope. This one thinner, unsealed, printed with clean black ink. "What's this?" she asked. "The dinner guest list." "What dinner?" "The one we're hosting next Friday." Her brow furrowed. "What are you talking about?" "You'll see," I said, smiling. "Wait, who's coming?" "Everyone." Friday arrived with a kind of quiet thunder. Lauren tried everything that week. Passive questions, warm tones, small gestures. She made dinner twice, folded my laundry once, even asked if I wanted to talk things through. I gave her nothing but polite distance. Polished, unreadable calm. The kind that drives guilty people crazy. Then came the dinner party. She opened the door that night in a black dress I hadn't seen in 2 years. Lipstick precise. Smile practiced. "You didn't tell me who was coming," she said carefully. "I know," I replied, adjusting my cufflinks. I wanted it to be a surprise. At 6:30 sharp, the doorbell rang. She opened it to find Vanessa. Yes, Caleb's fiancée. Former fiancée, technically. Dressed sharp, holding a bottle of wine like a trophy. Lauren froze. Her smile cracked. Vanessa, she said flatly. Vanessa stepped in, kissed me on the cheek, and said, lovely place. Thanks for the invite, Mark. Lauren blinked. You two know each other? We do now, I said. Isn't it crazy how fast friendships can form when the betrayal is mutual? Before Lauren could stammer a reply, the second bell rang. It was Caleb, and he didn't know Vanessa would be there. The color drained from his face like someone unplugged him. I clapped him on the back, grinning. Caleb, my man. Right on time. What is this? He asked, stepping inside cautiously, eyes flicking between the two women. It's a celebration, I said. An anniversary party. Sort of a eulogy with appetizers. We had wine. We had jazz playing. We had a cheese board big enough to cushion awkward silences. But the real main course? Exposure. Dinner was civilized. For a while, Lauren tried to steer the conversation toward work. Caleb stared into his glass like it might contain a time machine. Vanessa? She smiled like a shark in pearls. Then I tapped my spoon against my glass and stood. I want to make a toast, I said. Lauren shifted in her seat. Mark. But I continued. I want to thank everyone for being here. It's not often you get to gather the cast of a drama while it's still on air. Vanessa, your bravery inspires me. Caleb, your confidence is staggering. And Lauren, I looked at her. Calm. Even. You've taught me more about illusions than any magician ever could. Silence. Heavy. Dense. Then I raised my glass. To the lies we tell, the truths we bury, and the strange comfort of watching karma arrive in a dinner jacket. Vanessa clinked my glass. Caleb excused himself to the bathroom. Didn't come back for 10 minutes. Lauren sat still, lips pressed so tight they were almost white. When dessert came, no one ate. I cleared the plates while Lauren stared out the window like she was waiting for a portal to open. She didn't speak to me that night, but her eyes said everything. She finally understood. I hadn't broken. I hadn't lashed out. I had simply planned better than she lied. The next morning, she tried again. Why are you doing this? She asked. I was packing. Calmly. Deliberately. 1 bag, 2 boxes. That's all I needed. Doing what? This game. This parade of humiliation. I zipped the suitcase. Lauren, I'm not humiliating you. You did that yourself. I just sent the invitations. She followed me to the door. We can fix this. We? I laughed. You built an entire second life, Lauren. And you chose it over me. The only reason you want to fix this now is because I didn't crumble like you expected. Her voice broke a little. Please, don't leave like this. I'm not leaving, I said, pausing. You are. She blinked. What? I stepped aside, revealing the envelope on the table. Inside, a notarized post-nup agreement. A list of her infidelities. Screenshots. A copy of the lease in my name. And a prepaid Uber card. I spoke to a lawyer, I said. Everything's filed. The house is mine. The joint accounts are frozen. You'll get your portion, but only after the court sees this. I tapped the folder. She stared at it like it was a bomb, and in a way, it was. I already packed some of your things, I added. You can stay with Caleb. Or Vanessa. Or whichever version of yourself you like best. She didn't cry. That would have required humility. She just picked up the envelope with trembling hands, turned to the door, and walked out. No goodbyes. No slamming. Just the sound of the deadbolt turning behind her. You'd think that was the end. But no. The ending was simpler. And crueler. And perfect. 3 weeks later, I ran into Caleb. Coffee shop. Midday. He was alone. Looked thinner. Tired. He tried to avoid me, but I stepped in line right behind him. He glanced back. Look, man. I didn't know she was still married. I swear. I smiled. Don't flatter yourself, Caleb. You were just the gym membership she never canceled. He opened his mouth, maybe to apologize again, maybe to ask for mercy, but I cut him off. Oh, and Vanessa? She's doing great. You'll be hearing from her lawyer too. I stepped around him and walked out without ordering a thing. Because here's the truth, the real ending. I didn't just expose Lauren. I deleted her. From the house. From my accounts. From every version of the future she was never supposed to be in. No messy revenge. No shouting matches. No slash tires or keying cars. Just silence. Clean. Surgical. Final. She thought I'd unravel. Instead, I redesigned. And as I walked back into my new life, Lighter, sharper, unburdened, I realized. Sometimes the coldest revenge is leaving someone wondering how you became the version of yourself they never saw coming.